Thank you, John and Janae. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much, Florence. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. So we're John and Janae, Upline Emeralds, Devang and Arti, and Upline Diamonds, Vishal and Sonika Jain. So we want to jump right in right away. So the first part of the training that we want to kind of dive into are the simple steps for those of you that are new or a little bit of veterans in the business on how to get your business moving forward. Because before talking about contacting and growing your business, you have to understand how to manage your time so that you can, effectively and consistently grow your business on the fast track. So let me share our screen, and Janae and I can jump into this first slide right away. So the simple steps to build your business. So there's two main steps for those of you that are either watching this right now or watching this as a recorded video. The two steps, whether you're new in business, not yet started, or consistently building your business, the first step is going to be time management, understanding how to budget your time. And then the second step is to take consistent action. So the only way to take consistent action is if you have your calendar and your time managed in the right way, that it allows you to be consistent. Because that's one of the biggest challenges for most entrepreneurs is they try to jump into something, but they don't, put it in their schedule appropriately. So they end up either burning out or not having enough time to see it through. So the first thing that I want to jump into is how I have personally viewed this business. And I would encourage you to either take notes or take a screenshot of this slide. For most of you, this Shop, Share, Educate should be relatively familiar. You've either seen it on a business presentation or somebody has explained it to you, but there's really only three things we do: is we shop, we share, and we educate. And for me personally, as Janae and I have built this business to the 7,500 PV level and above, what we have done is we've learned how to allocate 10 plus hours a week, at least, to build an asset of around $3,000 of asset-based income, which is that platinum level and above. So Janae, I don't know if you want to jump in to talk a little bit about this.
Yeah.
We can kind of go back and forth.
So I know, like, when people are going through the process and they attend the business presentations, they're trying to figure out, how can I work this into my life? How can this work for me? And maybe when you launch your business, or maybe if you've, been in the business for a little bit, they're trying to figure out, okay, like, life is changing, things are going on. How can I fit this into my life now? So for shopping, obviously, you don't need any hours for that, because you're just changing your buying power from the products that you've been using for however long. You're just changing those products to the products that you have in your business now. So that doesn't take any time, because you know the products that you use daily. And then for sharing, that takes about 6 hours. And that's basically developing partners and customers. So you have to put in time to learn about your products, which we'll talk about with Educate, but developing partners and customers, reaching out to them, and creating a consistent habit for 5+ days a week. And that may be like messaging them and going out and meeting people, things like that. And then educating takes about 4 hours, and that can include business team meetings like this one we're on tonight, like your Wednesday and Sunday meetings, like your PACE and your board plan meetings, and conferences, of course, that happen quarterly each year. And then learning from your audios, your books, and your videos. So that takes time to educate yourself so that you're able to share these products and that the products that you're using each day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, greatly explained by you, Janae. So yeah, like you said, the only time commitment that I would say for those of you that are looking, the shopping, like Janae said, not really going to take much time itself, but I would encourage you to talk to the person who's invited you or is your upline of budgeting, because that's the one thing, understanding how much money can you allocate towards your products and services each month. Oftentimes we're overspending outside of the business. So you want to get on a good, concise budget. Just like Janae said, again, strategies and techniques. I mean, this is really where the rubber meets the road as we kind of go through the next few slides. It's really about sharing this opportunity. Every business that you join or you develop, it's going to require you to grow and develop that business, which in our business requires partners and customers. So like Janae said, again, I would talk with your coach and your mentor specifically on techniques and strategies, because there's a lot we're going to go into a little bit here today. But the biggest thing I would say for anybody watching this is consistency. It doesn't really matter what you do. If you do something consistently, eventually you're going to figure out the way that works best for you, and you're going to get results. If you're not willing to be consistent, you're going to have to, try to hope and pray that your approach is the best when you first start. But every business owner has to develop some form of consistent habit. And this is what BWW teaches 5 and 6 days a week. You know, if you can work 5 days a week for 40 hours a week, you know, at your job, can you put 10 hours a week, 5 days a week into your business? I would say that's a no-brainer, at least for me. And then like Janae mentioned, again, if these times have changed, you know, maybe you're watching this video and we don't have meetings on Wednesdays and Sundays anymore, obviously consult with the person who's taking you through. But as of right now, again, block off, if, you know, just like I viewed this business like my job. If I had a work meeting at 8 a.m. on Monday, I blocked it out of my calendar and I made sure that I was there. In our business, we have 2 meetings on Wednesdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. Those are in my calendar. So I know, hey, this is when I'm going to educate myself. Because if you're not willing to educate yourself, it's going to take you a while to get good at sharing the opportunity. But if you become smart at coming to business conferences, learning from audios and videos in your spare time and coming to the meetings, you're going to get results a lot faster than the average person who's just trying to, you know, kind of shoot blindly, you know. So I would learn to take this seriously. Again, 10 plus hours a week commitment, you know, over the course of maybe the next 1 to 2 years to develop a $3,000 a month asset-based income. Again, there's no guarantees, but that's what I've seen personally in Janae and I's experience. I would say that, you know, we were willing to do it, and anybody that's willing to make that commitment, I think will see similar results, if not better results than ourselves. And to kind of wrap up, the last step is take consistent action. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail with the 9 core steps, but reach out to the person who's invited you. There's plenty of podcasts that dive a little bit deeper into this. But the 9 core steps are basically steps that you can check yourself. Again, if you're new in business or you've been in business for a while, if you can rate yourself and look at these 9 core steps and honestly check off these boxes and say, I'm doing each one of these on a consistent basis, you can rest assured that you're going to achieve your goals, whether it happens right away or you need to go through a little bit of time of being consistent. That's obviously your journey as an entrepreneur. But this is a beautiful 9 core steps that BWW's outlined for us, that if you're checking these on a consistent basis, you know, personally using your products, customers, again, you can kind of see the similarities in shop, share, and educate, you know, in these 3 categories. If you're able to do these things on a consistent basis, you're going to see success in business. And it's a matter of the consistency. Again, keyword is consistency. It's not doing these once in a while, but if you can just be consistent, you'll grow very, very big in this business. And again, as I kind of finish up with these 2 steps before we dive into C-list contacting, for those of you guys that are new, there's really only 4 basics as you share this opportunity. There's building a list of names, there's contacting and DTMing them, there's starting them through the process, and then there is getting them started right. If you're new in business, your coach is going to take care of getting them started and taking them through the process. Where you have to get really good at as a business owner is how to build a list of names and how to connect and DTM with them. And that's what I'm going to finish on with this last slide before we go to our next slide is this slide, which again, for those of you guys that are new, I would encourage you to talk with your coach because there's a lot of different strategies. But the way that myself and Janae learned from our upline how to share this business with other people is very simple. There's your A list, your B list, and your C list. You know, again, we're not going to go into too much details with your A and B list. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory. Your friends and family, your acquaintances and older friends, and your C list are kind of newer people that you haven't yet met yet. So the thing that you do when you introduce this business to people is very simple. All you're looking to do is to make them aware of what is available or who is available, and then simply just drop the message on them. When you're sharing this consistently 5 and 6 days a week, all you're looking to do is identify people, is to let them know what you're doing. Again, here's a good phrase that I've seen work very well. You know, I recently connected with some successful entrepreneurs through a friend of mine, and they're helping me create some extra income. Again, you can personalize this to you. If that works for you, use it. If not, change it up a little bit. And then you want to drop the message and ask people if they're looking for opportunities. You know, they mentioned that they're expanding their business team with ambitious people, and your name came to mind. Do you keep your options open to new opportunities? The goal for everybody in business that I would say, especially if you're new, is to focus on people and ask them if they were open to new opportunities, not try to explain the business step by step by step. You just want to see who's open. And if they say that they're open and looking, then you want to connect them to your coach and your mentor and allow them to take them through the process. And if they say that they're not looking or they're not yet ready for business yet, then what you want to do is you want to help them become a customer and offer them your website. It's a win-win situation when you're in this business. They either become a part of your business team or they become a part of your customer base. You know, so that's what I would say again, just to kind of wrap up that initial slideshow. is, again, manage your time. Figure out how you can work those 10 hours a week or more into your schedule and just take consistent action. Again, strategies and techniques will change, but the consistency of your work ethic will outlast any strategy or technique that you have. So hopefully that helped for those of you guys that are new. And as I bring up this next slideshow, and I'm going to bring up a few people to talk with us that are leaders on the Jane team, is C-list contacting. So we just talked about obviously A, B, and C list. So again, for those of you that are new in business, you want to focus on your A and your B list, but your C list is an untapped potential of millions of people. You know, your C list is everybody else in the world that you don't yet know. Janae and I actually got into this business because we were C-list connections. You know, many other people on the call, I'm sure if you guys could write in the chat how you got connected with, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys were connected through your C-list. So your C-list, again, there's two ways that you can contact and reach out to your C-list or people that you haven't yet met. You can talk to people online, maybe through social media, through some form of social networking, or you can meet people face-to-face in person. Very, very simple. You know, and again, managing your time is going to be a good way of understanding when you can do these things. So why don't, Janae, if you want to go into
so
strategies.
Like John was saying, there are different ways that you can connect with people. So online contacting is something that we've gotten familiar with, especially during these past couple of years. And it's still really, really essential because you want to be able to reach, you know, bigger, larger amounts of people. And so some platforms that we use are LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I know some people on the team have used Snapchat, Bumble, or any other platform that helps you connect with people and meet new people. And then there's obviously multiple approaches, but the two that we're going to talk about are conversational and direct. And so if you want to go into that, you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I know we have an amazingly qualified individual that's going to go into how to conversationally have conversations on social media, because you can be direct with people or you can kind of have a conversation and get to know them. So I know an eagle on the Martinez team, Toni Morgan Johnson, is phenomenal. I know she has candidates. I think pretty much every week I'm seeing her having different candidates and, you know, seeing her growing her business, and looking forward to having Toni as an upcoming silver and platinum on the Jane team. I'm super excited for it. So Toni, I'm going to pass it over to you to talk about contacting and social media and the strategies that you're using.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, John and Janae. For those who don't know me, my name is Toni Morgan Johnson, coach and sponsored by Q12 Brian Martinez. And my conversation style, this is a disclaimer, everyone's conversational style is different, right? Mine is probably different from Janae and John's or Rod and May's or Evelyn's, right? So I think it's really important to understand what is your style at first. But the basic conversation style that helped me when I started, disclaimer, my background is data analyst, so I didn't even know how to talk to people when I first started, you know? I'm behind a computer. And one thing that I realized really helped me is called 5 levels of conversation. I know a lot of veterans know that, but for new partners, I highly suggest looking into an audio by Francis Pappalardo. It's called 5 Levels Conversation, and that's BWW 2062. And he talks about just 5 levels to have a conversation in a DTM. I'm not gonna go into a whole spiel, you can listen to the audio, right? But the first one's initiating, you know, just come out your comfort zone, break the ice. Second level is deepening. This is where we hear about form or from, you know, the first couple letters, family, recreation / their hobbies, their occupation. Sometimes I talk about future goals. We connect on that aspect as well, right? And then you want to ask qualifying questions, right? Is this someone that you're looking for? Are they entrepreneurial? Are they looking to diversify their income? Maybe they're more on personal development and growth, right? When you ask these type of questions, it kind of helps you understand, okay, is this the person that you're looking for to be on your team and help develop? The fourth step is Masawa, making someone aware of who is available. The who is very important because people care more about the connections you have and who you know than what you know, right? You can know the sky is blue, that's great, but who do you know that can help you understand that, right? So that's really important. Connect them to the person who is helping you develop your asset or personal development or whatever it is that they're looking to connect on, right? And then the last step is DTM, you know, potentially open a door to people, right? So those are the basic conversational styles that I learned, and then I started making it my own once I got comfortable with it. And what's really important to understand is that you're having a conversation, you're not interrogating the person, so they shouldn't feel like they did a crime or something. You know, as you're having a conversation, they should also get to know about you. right? Because you want to take them from, before you go to higher ground, you want to take them from a common ground. How can you guys connect? Why are you talking to them? Do you have something in common, right? And then from there, when you get to the higher ground, which is DTMing and, you know, maybe taking them through the process later, it kind of flows a little bit easier, right? And some materials I'll definitely recommend outside of the audio I just mentioned, Francis. Another one that helped me is by Kathy Noble Gibbons. BWW 2049 is called Connecting and Consistency, which is lovely. Is what John and Jay are talking about, right? And they talked about, you know, outside of 5 levels, understanding what type of conversationalist are you? Are you relational, then go into business? Are you relational? Are you business, which is a very direct person? Or are you business relational, right? Do you talk about business, then go into getting to know somebody? So that audio's definitely helped me a lot understand my conversational style and how to make it more productive and effective. And books have definitely helped. One book that helped me is How to Start Conversation and Make Friends, because now I know how to initiate those conversations, even in person. When I read that book, the first thing they said was say hi. So I said hi. The next day I smiled. Even on online, I just say hi, you know, just to get the wheels turning. How are you? How's your day? Whatever it is, right? But once I started getting comfortable with those online conversations, just how to talk to people and be more human and not robotic, right? Because they don't know who's on the other end besides whatever your profile picture is. Then I started going more into deepening and having those in detail conversations. And another book, you know, the original as How to Make Friends and Influence People. But now there's a second version for the digital age, right? Because we're living in the digital age. So that book is also great. You know, it helped me develop more of a connection when it comes to meeting people. So even if people don't go all the way through the process, I've made genuine friendships, right? Which comes into creating customers, as John and Janae were talking about earlier. And another book that I definitely recommend is Personality Plus. If you learn about your own psychological temperaments, that can also help you understand your own conversation styles, maybe how to adjust accordingly as well to get better results. And then the last 2 points, it's important to remember you want to practice. And how do you do that? By having conversations and by play huddling with your coach. Because if you're having conversations and you don't know why things are working out and you're not asking for help, like Theo said earlier, then you're not going to know if you're running in the right direction or the wrong direction, right? So these are some of the things that kind of helped me and I'm still doing that are bringing in those results that I'm creating. And then at the end of the day, it's all about consistency. Having conversations can be energy draining for us introverts, right? So I learned how to develop my own schedule, my own consistency, so I don't feel overwhelmed or if it's too intense for me, right? So this is it, practice, understand what conversation style you have and what you like, and then everything else will kind of fall into place. And back to John and Janae.
Thank you, Tony, so much. That was amazing. Amazing takeaways, amazing tips, and I know obviously you're using those to grow a massive team. And thank you so much. And kind of to reshare, just going off of what Tony had just mentioned, like she said, conversationally, again, there's one of the benefits I've seen personally because I've done a lot. So again, if you're new and you haven't necessarily branched off into social media, talking to people, again, talk to your coach, because there is these 2 different strategies. I know Janae and I have done both. Personally, again, some of the benefits I've seen from the conversational style, like Tony was mentioning, is obviously it might take a little bit more time, but you will likely develop a better connection with the person because you're getting to know them a little bit more, talking a little bit. I know for me, and I'm going to go into how I've used the direct approach as of recently. One of the things that I personally like about the direct approach is that it saves me personally a lot of time, because I don't necessarily have to. My focus, at least, is I get to know the person after I identify if they're looking or not. And then, but it is also a numbers game. You're not going to get as many people that are interested. But again, if you're more of like a direct, straight to the point person, that might work for you. If you're more of, like Tony said, kind of understanding your temperament, the conversational approach might be good for you. So yeah, kind of try it out, talk with your coach. Again, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you, because I feel like it's just easier for me to just show you what I do. So here's a couple of screenshots. Again, if you want to screenshot them, look at them. I'll be honest, again, my scripts and things that I use change occasionally. So if you're looking at this a couple of months or years later, or you're going to use this for the next 6 years, they might change. But this is just technically what I'm doing that's getting me 10 to 15 plus MG1s every single month, is I simply just find and qualify good people on social media. Again, I hope you don't reach out to the people that I'm showing you because they're the ones in the process with me right now. But if you want to, go ahead. Doesn't matter to me. I'll find more people. But I simply just do this. And I've worked with Vishal again. My mindset is I'd rather see if they're open now, and then I'll get to know them later. So that's just how I go about it. Again, it's just my thing. So what I do is I just have a basic, simple message of, hey, you have an impressive profile, with a background in business. She's studying business. Outside of your career path, do you keep your options open to new opportunities? She said yes, definitely. So I sent her a follow-up message, okay, sounds good. I gave her a little bit of what we do, blah 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 blah, successful entrepreneurs. Have you thought of online businesses? So that I can kind of specify it to not just business in general, but specifically online business. And she ended up saying, yeah, I'm definitely interested. So then I just have 3 scripts, script 1, script 2, script 3. And the third one just says, okay, well, since you're open, let's find a time. What's your availability? She gave me an availability, and I actually just did this call literally an hour before the meeting. And she's super excited, very, very sharp young girl, graduating from college this year. So that's one approach. Again, I'll give you another one if you guys want to see that. Again, it's the same messages, just a different person. He has a background in engineering instead of business. So I just changed that one little phrase out. And then he said, he gave me this really long messages, but the gist of it was at the end was he said, I'm open, so I didn't show you the whole message because it wasn't really worth it. And then all I said was same exact message. Hey, okay, sounds good. I work with a group of entrepreneurs. Have you ever thought of online businesses? So I kind of specified it because I realized that if I just jump straight into scheduling a meeting right away, sometimes they would be like, well, what is it? How does it work? This, that. So I kind of split it into 3 messages. Again, that's just how I'm doing it now. Who knows, in a week or 2, it might change a little bit. But he said, yeah, I'm interested. Sounds intriguing. So I said, okay, great. What's your availability? He said, does Saturday work? And I said, boom, let's meet at that time. So again, I just get their time and availability. They say that they're open. So what I do again is I get to know them on the MG1. So that's just how I roll. I've realized for me that if I tried to go too conversational, just my temperament, I got bored. I wasted a lot of time. But again, for somebody else, that might be how you like to go about it, developing those relationships. But that's just how I've gone about it. And just like Tony mentioned, consistency, consistency, consistency. It doesn't matter what approach you use. If you're not willing to be consistent 5 and 6 days a week, again, I find it very difficult. Again, if people can wake up and go to work for 40 hours plus every single week, and you can't find 30 minutes to an hour to send out a couple of messages online, it's not really a consistency issue. It's more so a goals issue. It's more so a why issue. You might just not know why you want to do this. So that's what I would say is be consistent and realize that every message that you're sending is getting you one step closer to finding the person. Like Kumar says, you're one meeting away from greatness. And then again, quality of connections. This is something that Devang and RT have, encouraged Janae and I to do is, understand that, okay, you can send out messages, you can have conversations, but, look at the person's profile. Again, you don't want to do a PhD and, get every single little reference of their background, but generally speaking, a professional, preferably out of school, so that they have money and time to focus on the business. Maybe a relatable field, like I'm an engineer, so I can connect with engineers. And somebody that just genuinely looks sharp. They have a good profile, looks like they're, somewhat, ambitious. So these are just some basic tips. But again, nobody has the right exact formula for you. It's just a matter of doing it, and you'll figure out what works best for you. And then, so now kind of pivoting towards in-person, and I'm going to pass it off to another leader on the Jane team and Advaryu team. In-person contacting, Tony already kind of alluded to this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But again, there's a basic framework when you start pivoting from online conversations to in-person is there's an icebreaker. You want to find common ground with people, and then you want to go to one of 2 approaches, either the DTM on the spot or a social contact. So for those of you guys that want to start to learn how to talk to people in person, there's a lot of resources. We're just going to go over some of the basics, but these are kind of some of the steps as you start talking, obviously, to break the ice and, initiate the conversation. I'm sure Shoaib and Mashmi will talk a little bit about that. You want to find some common ground with the person. Why are you talking to them? What can you, find common ground and take it to higher ground? And then you want to do one of these 2 approaches, either the DTM or the social contact. Again, I don't know, Janae, if you want to walk through some of the locations, and then we'll pass it off to Mashmi.
Absolutely. So yeah, so for in-person contacting, it's a little different, of course, than online contacting. And so the great thing about this business is that you have a choice. You can choose how vigorous you want to be with your goals, and you can choose, when you want to connect with people, where, what times of the week. So typically we'll choose the weekends when there's a lot of people in the mall. So malls and stores, people are constantly shopping on the weekends, they're browsing and things like that. So it's easy to find people there. Or in parks, maybe if you have children, you're bringing them to the park, or if you're walking your dog, or if you're just walking through a park, there's people there. Uber and Lyft. I know Ava, someone that we launched not too long ago, she was able to meet her Uber driver and was able to get his connection through that way. So like if you're someone who uses Uber, or Lyft, you can connect with the person that's driving you, because obviously that is considered a side hustle for some, so they might be open. And then of course restaurants, like your waitresses, maybe your host or something like that, someone who's serving you, they might be open to new things. And pretty much anywhere you can find people. If you're traveling and you maybe you're on an airplane, you can connect with someone that's sitting next to you. So pretty much your locations are endless when you're in person contacting.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like Janae said, I mean, there's endless. Again, you're gonna find the areas that work best for you, like Janae and I have, but eventually you want to get to the point to where you can talk to anybody, anywhere, at any time. That's obviously the goal. But like we said, there's two approaches. So I want to pass it over to, one of the best teachers, I think, on the Jane and Advaru team. I mean, I know Janae and I learn from them all the time. We loved hanging out with you guys at Seven Springs and in Orlando at Go Diamond. So can't wait to see you guys over here in Baltimore. But we want to pass it over to the amazing Saurabh and Maushmi Desai to talk about contacting and DTMing in person.
Good evening, everybody. We are Saurabh and Maushmi, tuning in from San Diego, and blessed to be on the line of sponsorship of Ashish and Shilpa, Devang and Aarti, and Vishal and Sonika, and John and Janae and Tony covered it beautifully. On social media, you can do conversational style, and you can do direct approach, because you can glean a little bit about the opposite person through their profile, through their postings. You can know, but in person, you're complete strangers. You have to get to know them. So you have to spend some time connecting. Only then you can do either a social contact or a business contact. Like many times I've done social contact where later on I have gone back and then called them, but I've had a great rapport. And for business, Saurabh has some awesome tips, and he's got some wonderful slides. So I'll over to you, sir.
All right, thank you, Maushmi. All right, let me share my slide here. Okay, this background looks like what Benu did, but it's I promise it's a different slides here. All right, okay. So Maushmi covered up well, okay, because these are the people who have not earned your trust yet. You have not earned their trust yet. You want to connect really well, and then you want to go into talked about doing Masawa, which is making someone aware of who is available. Now, it has to be conversational, right? When you do Masawa, when you're talking to the person, there's going to be a point of time when the person will ask you, what do you do? Right? Is that a question? Very obvious question. And you're going to ask them, what do you do? And they're going to ask you, what do you do? And so I'll tell you what I do. What I say is that, I'm a software engineer, but I don't elaborate too much on software engineering. I say, I'm a software engineer. However, my main focus is that on an entrepreneurial project, I work with a group of entrepreneurs. I was lucky to get an opportunity. They are coaching me on how to create an asset-based income using some online trends. Now you talk to your coach and do huddle, pay huddle, what works best for you. That's what I use. And now there are two responses you will get when you say that to people: really curious or casual. Some people say, oh, okay, good for you, or stuff like that. Once in a while, you'll get people are really curious. Tell me, what is it? Tell me, what do you do? Now, I'm going to give you certain things that I use. Now, again, talk to your coach, see what works best for you, but use it as a template. Okay, and come out with something that works for you. And again, before I go into it, it's going to take practice for you. This is going to take a lot of practice, especially if you have not done face-to-face contacting. Sometimes it can be intimidating. And because in social media, you can wait, you can talk to your screenshots, you on face-to-face, you cannot. Okay, so that, but just have fun with it. Okay, really curious. If somebody is really curious, somebody tell me, what is it about? Tell me, what is it about? Can you tell me more? That shows that they have an interest. What I say is what the team does is coach qualified individuals to work with many brand names, generate revenues, and share the profits, resulting into an asset-based income. Okay, again, use it as a template. Why do you ask? Are you looking to diversify your income outside of what you do? So what you do is that you tell them a little bit and turn it around and ask them, why are they asking the question? Okay, chances are when you ask them this question, chances are they're going to say yes. If they're asking the question, yeah, I was thinking about it, I was considering that, and so then what you can say is, can't promise anything, but I can check with my business coach and get back to you in a day or two. How does it sound? That's it. Keep it simple. Now, again, somebody asking you too many questions. Say, you know what, listen, I have to run somewhere. I don't have a lot of time. I have to get going. Why don't we keep in touch? What's the best way to get in touch with you? A phone or a text, and then you give them your number first, and they give you your, you get their number, and then off you go. Okay. Now, somebody's casual. Somebody say, you know what, good for you. Now, when you do Masawa and somebody's casual, you don't want to jump into DTM because they have not given you a permission to DTM them. In the previous case, you got a permission because somebody asked you, somebody was excited about knowing what you do. In this case, so it seems a little out of place. You don't want to look awkward there, okay? So you want to talk a little bit more, continue conversation, you know, where do you live around here, and just continue conversation. At the end, when you're about to part ways, you know what, it was nice meeting you, John, you know, great meeting you, and hope to meet you somewhere. And then what I change, I just kind of go back, right? Hey, John, let me ask you a quick question for you. I see you're good at what you do or something, you know, I know like you like what you do, or you know, you've been in so much years of experience or whatever. Have you considered diversifying your income without affecting what you do? That's it. That's all you ask them. And they're going to say, you know what, yes, what is it? Why do you ask? Okay, very obvious question. And in that case, what you say is, as I mentioned before, I'm connected to an entrepreneurship team. The team is expanding its operation in your area or our area if you are live in a common area, and it coaches qualified individuals and blah, 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 the same script that you used before. Okay, again, it comes with a practice. And then I say, can't promise anything, but if you carry an open mind, now, you know, the person who is very interested is already open. You don't need to ask him this question, but carry an open mind. I can check with my business coach and get back to you in a day or two. How does it sound? That's it, right? And exchange the numbers, off you go, and you're done with that. So that is what I do. This is a very simplistic approach in terms of contacting people face-to-face doing DTM. But the more you do this, the more comfortable. Just today, we went out there, we made 2 excellent social contacts. You know, great connection. We didn't drop the message on them like John was talking about. It's a social, but we're going to drop the message later. You know, we have somebody going through the process. Right, somebody going through the process. I did drop the message right there using this that I showed you right here, and person is in the process, excited, MG2 tomorrow. So again, have fun with it. And
even if, you know, you make mistakes, hey, no problem. You know, I remember they say your upline is your lifeline, right? I would just pick up the phone. I would either call Saurabh, I would call my upline ladies, Aarti, Shilpa, that, you know, I just spoke to so-and-so person and I got stuck over here. What else could I have done?
Yeah.
And you know that you have your upline, that's the best resource for you. Make use of it and go and have a blast and enhance your business.
Back to John and Jenny. Thank you.
Wow, thank you guys so much. I mean, that was amazing. Saurabh and Mashmi, you guys are always a treat to listen to and learn from. But I mean, you guys covered it. There's really not much more as we kind of wrap up right now. The biggest thing, the one thing I can say, not too much more teaching, because Saurabh and Mashmi kind of taught you guys everything you need to know. The biggest thing I can say is that, personally speaking, like Saurabh said, it definitely takes a lot of effort and time and consistency to get good at in-person contacting. But I will say personally that in-person contacting has changed my entire life. Like, Janae doesn't know this because I met her after I got good at in-person contacting, but I was super nervous, shy, reserved, especially around, you know, girls and people of the opposite sex. You know, so by developing those skill sets, by just putting myself in a situation to learn how to talk to people, especially being an engineer, kind of like Tony had mentioned, being a data analyst, I was always behind the computer. So I would encourage you, especially most people nowadays are, everything that you do is behind a screen or behind a computer. So I would say, even if, you know, obviously in-person contacting will help your business grow tremendously, You'll get multiple launches. I mean, I know Janae and I have launched plenty of people from in person, but I can definitely say that if you just want to actually grow and change and develop into the best version of yourself, going out, talking to people, falling on your face, making mistakes, that will be the best thing. Like, you'll look back in 2 to 3 months of doing this consistently, and you won't even recognize the person that you are because of the skills that you'll learn. And it'll help you in a lot of other areas outside of just business, but even in your work, things like that. I don't know if you have anything else you want to
I mean,
do
ditto
before
to
we
what
wrap up.
John said. I mean, he's known me, so he knows the change that I've made from when I first started, when I met him and first started, in business, and now, and when I started in-person contacting is when I started to push myself a little bit more, step out of your comfort zone. And then once you not succeed, but once you see that yourself is growing in that area, then you get more amped up, you get more confident when you do your in-person contacting. Of course, you want to do your online contacting as well, but in-person definitely allows you to grow yourself even more, like John was saying, and you'll have that confidence to speak to people. And of course, the books and audios that Toni Morgan Johnson mentioned were really helpful, for me, especially getting myself out of my comfort zone, learning how people work and learning how I work, and connecting with people. So
yeah, absolutely. And last slides, I mean, I'm not going to really go through much more information, but for those of you guys who like to see actual takeaways, actions. So for me personally, I like to, like Saurabh said, casually, socially contact people and just talk to them about business after the fact. So again, I'm just going to show these screenshots. If you want to screenshot them, do whatever you want with them. Typically what I do after I contact somebody, what Vishal always taught me was right away, if I met somebody, for example, at the mall, I'll send them a message right after I leave the mall. Hey, it was nice connecting with you, because I want them to remember my connection. So I typically connect with people on Instagram. So I say, hey, and this guy actually is about to launch this upcoming week. So, hey, it was nice connecting with you, blah, 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 blah. And he said, great, appreciate it, man. We kind of talked a little bit about business, but I didn't really touch on it too deeply. So then all I do is I just, reconnect. It was about a week later. I send him a message. He says, hey, how have you been? And this is the basic script. Again, if you like scripts, this is what I use after every social contact. As I said, hey, it was great speaking. So I spoke with my friend who works with businesses. He mentioned he's working on some entrepreneurial projects outside of his job. And he asked if I knew anybody opened opportunities. Are you open? So just a generic, hey, bro, it was nice connecting with you. Are you open to opportunities? He happened to be interested, and we ended up booking a meeting. Again, similar thing happened to somebody else connected within Target. Both of these guys are actually in the process about to launch. Same exact thing. The day of, I sent them a message, reached out about a week or two later, it looks like. And then I sent them, this is the second script that I send. I kind of interchange it. Hey, are you looking? We connected, blah, blah, blah. So again, if you want to screenshot it, or go back to the video, look at it again. That's just what I do. And these are some of the resources. Toni kind of touched on them. Here's a couple of videos or podcasts that you guys can look at that talk about contacting and how to talk to people. But yeah, with that, that's pretty much it. Like we said, would encourage you guys all to go out, contact people in person, online. But again, the biggest tip is just consistency. Whether you feel like you're stuck in business or you're new to contacting, the biggest thing is consistency, because I know what I think Kumar said it at the last conference. If you know how to talk to people and you have a work ethic, it does not matter. You will eventually find 6 people that want to go platinum. It's just a matter of, if you quit before you do that, then you don't find them. But if you're willing to develop the skill set, I mean, there's no limit to how far you can go, because nobody can physically stop you from going platinum, emerald, or diamond. It's simply a decision that you choose to stop or you choose to keep going. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully we added some value and gave you guys some tips. Thank you, Upline, for allowing us to speak. And we will pass it back over to Florence to wrap it up.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John and Janae.